the importance of Bhakti Yoga. Hare Krishna. So the very first verse starts with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadiyasya Yato Anvayad Itraschateshva Bhigya Swarat Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye Muhyanti Yad Suryaha Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Amrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhukam Satyam Param Dhimahi. Now, many of you may be aware of the meter as how this has been written, and of course it's based on the Gayatri Mantra. The meter goes along with that. Hare Krishna. So let's seek blessings of Srila Prabhupada in Guru Prati. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshitarine. Hare Krishna Devi.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, those of you who just joined, we gave a brief insight on, how our format is going to be. So we just recited prayers precisely, not the regular format of the lengthy prayers. So after reciting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 3 times and reading the verse number 1 from Canto 1, Chapter 1, we are now, after hearing the Sanskrit of the verse and Guru Pranati, Prabhuji is going to explain this verse, what everyone needs at a high level, what everyone should know about Srimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, verse number 1. So Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. So here this verse is spoken by Srila Vyasadeva, the author of Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's beginning with invoking auspiciousness. So as we also see Srila Prabhupada in the writings, first he is invoking auspiciousness. So that's in parampara. Invoking auspiciousness makes the whole environment very sweet because everyone who is speaking, who is hearing, who is inquiring, who is meditating on these subject matters, gets purified, gets special mercy of Lord Shri Krishna. And here, what is this prayer? That may be one thing, so somebody can ask. And here, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is being called out, the prayer is directed to, his name is Vasudeva. Now, Vasudeva has 2 meanings. So, first meaning is one who is present everywhere. So we know Lord in Paramatma form is present everywhere, Shiva Daksha Vishnu. But then when you look at one who is present everywhere, the name becomes secondary. While the other meaning, son of Vasudeva, reflects the pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna with his father, Vasudeva, and his father is in Vatsalya Bhav, parenthood. That's one of the 5 primary rasas. And that causes the name to become primary name. So the same name as how we think can change its effect and can bless us accordingly. Just like many people, they go to the temple and they see, oh, some people are worshipping a statue. While some other people who are devotees, they go to the temple and say, oh, Lord is present in such Vigraha form, so mercifully blessing us. And they are thinking the same way. So yes, both are seeing the same object, right? That's being worshipped, but one is thinking it to be a statue made up of stone or wood or so forth, while the other one is seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they get the blessings accordingly. So here our focus, Srila Prabhupada, is actually giving both the meanings. That he is the absolute truth. But then, what is his influence, somebody could say, right? So he is saying that Janmadhyasya yato anvayad, itrash chatesh abhikya surat. So, Janma Adi, it's not Janmrityu Jara Vyadhi, it's not the birth, death, old age, and disease. It is all about the creation of these material universes, right? So here, Vyasadeva is meditating upon Lord Shri Krishna because, why is he meditating? Because he's the primeval cause of all causes of creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universe. Now, people from Indian background, they normally think, wait a minute, how could it be that Lord Krishna is the cause of creation, sustenance, and destruction? Because there is a saying in the Shastras that Brahma creates, Vishnu maintains, and Shiva destroys. But that is about the secondary creation. The primary creation and its sustenance and destruction is done by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that has been revealed here. And it's very, so here, and he is Swarat, he's completely independent. So he is Chatesh Abhigya. So he is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations. And he is independent, Swarat, because there is no cause beyond him. And Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavayam. So when Lord Brahma, he was born on the lotus that came out from Lord's navel, then Lord Brahma was wondering, who am I? Why am I here? And so he heard the words tapa, and he understood by Lord's mercy what's the meaning of that word. Because he was trying to find what's his origin and what is the reason of his existence when he was born. And he's called Aja because he doesn't have material father or mother. And so here, through the heart of Brahma, he is receiving the knowledge. And Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kave. So he is the original narrator. So Lord Krishna is imparting this knowledge. Which knowledge? The Vedic knowledge. Vedas means knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being in our universe. That is also very. Now the next phrase that Srila Vyasadeva is revealing is Muhyanti yad Suryaha. And he is saying that by him, even great sages and demigods are placed into illusion. So sometimes people get bewildered because why would Lord cause even the great sages and demigods to be illusioned? And what kind of illusion it is? Just like water is seen on in fire and land seen on water. Now, when we think of this, so you can imagine that even when devotees would get bewildered, what about the non-devotees? We hear in Mahabharata that's how Duryodhana, he was thinking that there is a way, and then Pandavas say, no, actually there's a wall. And he actually hit the wall, and then later on, they said, come, come. He was saying, no, there's water, but it was land. And then when they said, do not go there, there's water. And he stepped in and he fell in the water, even though it looked like land. So that's the kind of illusion. So Maya Danav, he had been saved by Arjuna when Arjuna was trying to fight with Indra. And at that time, it was the first time that Lord Krishna was his charioteer. So Lord Krishna was the second time charioteer at the Kurukshetra war, at the battlefield at Kurukshetra. But he had been charioteer of Arjuna once before, when Khandwa forest was requested, that Agni had requested. So here, even the great sages and demigods are placed in illusion. And we all know that from Krishna Leela, that even Lord Brahma himself was illusioned. That whole pastime is known as Brahma Vimohan Leela. So, Now, it is very important aspect is Yatra Tisargo Amrisha, that because of his all the material universes, they are temporarily manifested by the three sargo, three modes of material nature. Mode of goodness, sattva-guna, mode of passion, rajaguna, and mode of ignorance, tamoguna. Dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhukam satyam param dhimahi. So it is, they appear real, the material universes, even though they are unreal. Maya means that which is not. So therefore, he is, Srila Vyasadeva is saying that I meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representation of the material world. Now he is giving a glimpse that there is a spiritual realm that is forever, that is eternal, while this material universes, they go through the cycle of creation, maintenance, and destruction, and then again get created. And he is saying he is the Satyam Param, he is the absolute truth, he is the topmost truth. Here, Srila Vyasadeva is the author. But somebody could ask, how is it that Srila Vyasadeva is writing such a deep verse in his prayers? And now who will he pass on this knowledge to? So Srila Vyasadeva passed it to his own son Shukdev Goswami. Now today we want to cover the appearance of Shukdev Goswami. So in Vrindavan, Radha and Krishna, they would have many passengers. Many gopis used to be the messengers between Radha and Krishna. But there was also one personality, Shuka. Shuka means parrot. Radharani had a pet parrot. And one day Radharani was sitting and she was thinking about Krishna. And she, looking at the parrot, she said, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So the parrot, immediately sometimes parrots, they catch as it is. So the parrot also said, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So Radharani felt very nice. She held the parrots and, was nicely, patting her pet parrot, and the parrot flew. And then it flew to where? To Nan Baba's house. And he was sitting on a tree looking at Krishna, who was sitting with Madhumangal. And he, with that sweet voice, just like Radharani's voice, he said, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So hearing this, Krishna said, I don't see Radharani here. Where is she? And he looked. And one of the interesting aspects is that Lord Krishna knows how to understand the language of the birds and animals. So he looked at the parrot. He understood because the parrot again said, looking at Krishna, when Krishna was looking at him, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So Krishna gave the signal that come here. And the parrot flew to Krishna. So Krishna was holding the parrot and was nicely again patting the parrot just like Radharani was doing. At that time, Lalita and Vishakha came. They said, this is Radharani's parrot. You must return this parrot immediately. She demands it. Krishna says, well, she can come, and if the parrot flies to her, then she can take it. So here we also see that, the Sakhis of Radharani, they are also constantly challenging Krishna. So some little challenges were going on, but then Lalita and Vishakha did not see that they are going to get the parrot today. So what do? Well, this is where there's a sweet lesson. When you can't, we have all heard about the story of lion and a hare, right? So every day one animal was sacrificed, was going to the lion because lion was otherwise killing a lot of animals on a daily basis, but then there was an arrangement. And so this rabbit here was thinking, how will I save my life? Today is my turn to go to lion's den. and I'll be eaten, I'll be dead. So he said to the lion that actually, he actually went to the jungle and he was eating all kinds of fruits, enjoying, thinking that this is my last day. And then when he went to the lion, he said, well, today I actually got delayed. Please accept my humble apology, because there was another lion I met on the way. So the lion said, there's another lion? I am the king of the jungle. How can there be another lion? He said, please come, I will show you the lion. And he takes him to the well, a dry well. Well, actually, there was some water at the bottom. So he says, the lion is in there. So the lion looks inside the well. What does he see? He sees his own image, his own reflection. He says, oh, there is another lion. And he roars very strongly. And then what happens? The voice echoes back. So it's like, oh, this lion is challenging me. And he jumps into the well, and that's the end of lion. So why is this important? This lesson that we used to hear in our elementary schools. Because even Lalita Vishaka, they use a similar trick. They were very sadly sitting and hoping that Mother Yashoda will see them. And yes, Yashoda Mai, she happened to cross, and they saw these two sweet girls. They are sitting here, but in a very sad mood. What happened? That's the general essence. Parents asked, what happened? Why are you so sad? They said, what can we do? Krishna has taken away Radharani's pet parrot, Shuka. Shuka means parrot. And so Yashoda Mai said, oh, so she wants a parrot back. He's like, yes, but Krishna, and then Vishaka says, don't say anymore. So now Mother Yashoda, understanding that they are trying to get the parrot back, she goes and she holds Krishna by her arm, says, Lalla, it's too late. You have to eat. You have to play with your friends. And takes the parrot from Krishna's hand and gives it to Lalita and Vishaka. Now, Lord Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. But in front of Mother Yashoda, he becomes helpless. That is the sweetness of loving exchange. That while he would have interesting arguments when talking with Lalita and Vishaka, but Mother Yashoda, she completely controls Lala. And so the parrot is returned to Radharani. Now, this parrot has a beautiful history that as time passed and Lord Krishna and Radharani were returning back home, back to Godhead, at that time, this parrot also wanted to go with Radharani. But Radharani said that you must stay, because, there is a purpose for you to glorify this, the exchange of love between me and Krishna. But parrot said, but I will miss you so much. She says, wherever there is Krsna Katha, there is description, glorification of Lord Shri Krishna. Of course, I'll be there. So you will never feel alone. So he said, okay. So now, understanding that he has to go for Krsna Katha, incited by Paramatma in his heart, he starts flying and he goes to Kailash Parvat. And who lives on Kailash Parvat? Lord Shiva. With his, on Kailash mountain, he's living with Parvati. And he and Parvati are sitting under a big banyan tree. So banyan tree has big, thick, green leaves. And now he is telling Parvati Srimadbhagavatam. He is reciting. And Parvati is eager to hear Srimadbhagavatam. So, in the very first canto itself, as Lord Shiva is speaking Srimadbhagavatam, he's reciting, at that time, Parvati feels asleep, and then she, goes to sleep. But Lord Shiva is completely absorbed in his recitation. But Parvati was saying, yes, please go on. And now Shuka, the parrot, was hiding in the tree because its color is same as the leaves of the tree. So he was hiding in the tree, hearing Srimadbhagavatam. And seeing that Parvati has gone to sleep, he feared that Lord Shiva may stop recitation of Srimadbhagavatam. So in the voice of Parvati, Shuka was saying, yes, please go on. And so Lord Shiva thought that she's listening. And he continued. Finally, when he finished, he said, "Oh, Devi, did you like this recitation?" And then she immediately woke up and said, "Oh, my dear Swami, my dear Lord, I'm so sorry that in the very beginning itself I fell asleep." But then Lord Shiva said, "But I was hearing you saying, yes, yes, please go on. Who was it if it was not you?" And then with his mystical power and investigative sight, he finds out, Lord Shiva finds out that it is the parrot in the tree who had been making those voices and making those sounds, and that he has heard whole of Srimad Bhagavatam. So he picks up his trident and starts to run, decides to kill this parrot. And now the parrot is flying away in fear. As it's flying in fear, Lord Shiva is chasing it with a determined goal that I have to kill this parrot. And this parrot, at the same time, Vyasdev is reciting Srimad Bhagavatam to his wife Vitika. And she yawns. See, Goddess Parvati went to sleep. Srimati Vyasdev's, Vitika, who's Vyasdev's wife, she's about feeling like sleeping. So this is what happens, that when people don't have this rasa, this mellow, the attraction towards Bhagavatam, sometimes we do see the students sleeping in the classroom. And this is what happens. So she takes a big yawn. What happens as she's yawning, her mouth opens big, and the parrot goes inside her mouth and actually takes the form of a baby in her womb. Now, Lord Shiva, he goes and he says, this parrot heard whole of Srimad Bhagavatam, I must kill it. So Srila Vyasadeva, he smiles and says, "My dear Lord Shiva, please tell me what is the benediction of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam?" So he's asking, what is the benefit of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam? Lord Shiva says, one becomes immortal. What else? So Lord Srila Vyasadeva says, if one becomes immortal, how can you kill? Right? How can you kill an immortal person? So Lord Shiva is satisfied with this response and he returns back home. Now, Srila Vyasadeva, understanding that his wife is now expecting a baby, he's waiting. But what has happened? 12 years have passed, 16 years have passed. What is going on? The baby is not coming out. So Srila Vyasadeva asks, please, to the baby in the womb, "Oh, my dear child, please, your mother is in a lot of pain. Please come out." The baby says, "No, no, as soon as I will come out, Maya will capture me. Maya will take hold of me." Now, sometimes you would say, wait a minute, we talked about Radha and Krishna leaving back home, back to Godhead. Here, Srila Vyasadeva is, praying to the baby, and Srila Vyasadeva gets Krishna. Yes. So Srila Vyasadeva, he pleads to Krishna that please help me. And Krishna comes and he says, yes, this baby, is not coming out. Can you help? So Lord Krishna says, baby, why don't you come out? It's like, as soon as I come out, my dear Lord, Maya will capture me. So Lord says, do not worry. For a moment, for 4 moments, I will, withdraw the influence of Maya and you can take birth. Now, giving this opportunity, as soon as Lord Krishna says, now you can come out, the baby comes out. There is no umbilical cord cutting. There is no extensive process of childbirth. And as soon as the baby comes out, it starts running away from home. And Srila Vyasadeva is chasing his son. It's like, my dear son, stop. The baby is, at this time, is automatically a Naistika Brahmachari and he is actually a self-realized soul. Now, why is he self-realized soul? Because he did not get caught by Maya. And this boy, who is now known as Shukdev Goswami, he's running through. And as he was running through, there were some apsaras in a lake. They were bathing. And so they saw this boy run through, no problem. But as soon as they saw Vyasadeva running, they immediately bowed down their hand, came out and immediately covered their bodies with clothes. Srila Vyasadeva felt very strange. My son crossed, they didn't do anything. But as soon as I came, they immediately covered their body offering obeisance. He said, my dear ladies, can you tell me the reason why you did this? They said, when your son passed, we could see that he was a self-realized person. He did not make a distinction between man and a woman and other aspects, the duality aspect, we did not see. But you are a grahastha, and as soon as you came, we realized that you will make that distinction, so we immediately covered ourselves. Having understood this, Srila Vyasadeva, after blessing them, he continued chasing, going for his son. Now, it is very interesting that he's calling out to his son, and only like the trees, and trees will call out to their babies. Sometimes they have fruits, and those seeds will go away and to distant land, and they take births again as different trees. So just like a tree would feel the separation from its offspring, similarly, Srila Vyasadeva was feeling this separation from his son. So he, very interestingly, told some of the hunters that, you know what, I'll tell you a mantra so that you will be able to catch lots of birds in the jungle, in the forest. So he taught them the mantra that's in the Gopi Gita, is how Lord Krishna enters the forest, like how he is wearing this peacock feather on his hair, how beautiful his limbs are, and how he's playing his Venu, the flute, and so forth. So it's describing Lord Krishna's. So here, hearing this, Shukdev Goswami suddenly stops running. He's inquiring, but Srila Vyasadeva, even at the end of the day, does not see that his son is coming back. Then he tells those hunters and even some of his students to go to the jungle to call out another verse from Srimadbhagavatam 10th canto. It's actually in 11th canto. And this verse is spoken by Uddhav to Mahatma Vidur. Aho bakiyam stanakal kutam jighabsyapyadha sadhavi. Leve gatim datrim uchitam tattvanyam kim va dayalum sharanam vrajema. So Shukdev Goswami, when he hears this, he immediately understands the meaning. And this, let me share the meaning. It's so sweet meaning. Aho Bakiyam Stanakalukutam. Baki is sister of Bakasur. Who is sister of Bakasur? Putana. What has she done? On her breast, she has put Kalakutam. She has put poison on her, smeared her breast with poison. Jigam se apya asadhvi. So she is very asadhvi. She is very unchaste. She is not a faithful person. And she is, basically a putna. Putna is a kind of demoness who lives by eating babies. So she is very cruel by nature. She is not, she is cruel. She is violent, as well as you cannot trust whatever she says or she does. Lekin lebhe gatim dhatrim uchitam tatanyam. But even to her, what kind of labh, lebhe refers to labh, what kind of profit did she gain? What is the benediction did she gain? Of Dhatri. Dhatri means mothers, basically mother, equivalent to mother's position. She became an associate of Mother Yashoda because she offered her breast for Lord Krishna, to be, so as to feed him her milk. Nurse. So that is the nurse action, which is like motherly action. And so Lord is so merciful. So who is more uchit, more appropriate? Tato anyam kim va dayalum sharanam. Whose shelter should I take than Lord Krishna? Means he is so merciful that even to a demoness, just because she offered her breast milk to the Lordship again, at that time, Lord only looked at that sweet quality. Now sometimes people say, oh, Putana did this and she got this. So again, maybe we can do some kind of abominable action and we'll get some kind of boon. No. Because who was Putana in her previous birth? Putana was none other than younger sister of Bali Maharaj. Her name was Ratnamala. And when Vaman Dev appeared, at that time, she felt, when she looked at Vaman Dev, she had this motherly power, that if I get this, I would like to have this boy as my baby. He's so sweet, so attractive, so wonderful to look at. And Lord from his heart, granted her this boon, heart-to-heart exchange. That's what we talk about. So here we are seeing that Vyasdev is passing on this knowledge. And in the very first verse, Vyasdev is invoking auspiciousness. That who should we meditate upon? The absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. And absolute truth is realized in three forms. In another verse in Bhagavatam, where it is said, Vadanti tattatuidas tattvam yajnanam avyayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagwan iti shabdate. The learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth, accepted in three forms. Brahman, the effulgence, which is the bodily effulgence of Lord Krishna, if you look at it from the cause of all causes, and Paramatma, the super soul sitting in everyone's heart, even though he is one, he appears divided, and Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, after invoking auspiciousness, and Devi, would you like to share something? Okay.
So, Hare Krishna, those of you who just joined, who were not in the beginning, so Prabhuji is trying to share the gems from first three verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. We will try to see if we can cover all the three verses today. So he gave a little historic background of Vyasdev and Shukdev Goswami. And so as we go further in these verses, more will be shared as to which will help us develop the understanding, the significance of Srimad Bhagavatam, what appears, why Srila Vyasdev purposely invokes, the verse in the verses, he is invoking Gayatri Mantra also. And certain phrases which appear in these Sanskrit verses, what is their significance? So, Prabhuji, please go ahead. We are really short
Hare
on
Krishna.
time.
Yes. So basically, as soon as Shukdev Goswami heard this verse, Aho Bakiyam Stana Kalakutam, he immediately came back, he returned back. And at that time, Srila Vyasdev was able to impart this knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam to his son, Shukdev Goswami, who later recited this whole Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, when Parikshit Maharaj was cursed to die in 7 days. And he finished the Srimad Bhagavatam within those 7 days. And what is the boon of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam? One becomes immortal. So one realizes that we are immortal, and realization and knowing are two different things. How do you make the differentiation of realization versus knowing? I can give you a recipe of how to make sandesh, right? Or that is knowing. And then I can just offer you sandesh, and you can take the sandesh and you can relish it. Of course, after having offered it to the Lordship, it becomes Mahaprasad, and you relish it. So what's the difference getting the recipe versus getting to relish sweet sandesh? That's the difference between knowledge and realization. So person's behavior completely changes because they have a better, more revealing experience in their lives.
It's interesting, Prabhuji. Actually, I'm tempted to just share quickly that, the poster for these gems on Srimad Bhagavatam talks about this. This is like a companion in all stages of life. And many of us, we look for comfort and direction at different times in life when there is a lot of uncertainty in future. And so the ageless wisdom from the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam is like a lamp. It provides the deep understanding for people from all backgrounds. They may be going through some new beginnings or difficulties or changes. So as we gain a better understanding with the background of Srimad Bhagavatam, like you mentioned, Parikshit Maharaj, he was cursed to die in 7 days, and he took shelter of Mahabhagavat and did the Shravan. He did the Shravan. And that was really nice, the story, the background of Shuka, the parrot. So, yes, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Now, in the second verse, there is a sweet blessing for all the hearers of Srimad Bhagavatam, all the personalities who are hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Sravanam. Dharma projita kaitavo atra paramo nirmit saranam satam vedyam vastvam atra vastu shivadam tapatrayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim va pararishvaraha Sadhyo hridaya varudyate yatya kritibhihi Shushushubhistakshanat. Such a sweet verse. And again, let's get blessings of Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine. An equal sweet verse of invoking auspiciousness. So, Dharma projito katavo atra paramo. So, it's completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, which are karma kanda activities. And sometimes even the Gyan Kand motivates one to engage in some kind of karmas or to refrain themselves from karmas. Even having no desire is a desire. People don't realize. Actually, we as souls always have desires. All we have to do is dovetail our desires for Krishna's pleasure, not for our pleasure. And try to stop those desires for anyone's pleasure is also a desire which is materially motivated. So this Bhagavad Purana, it is Atra Paramo, it propounds the highest truth. And who can understand if there is some highest truth? It is understood by only those devotees who are fully pure in heart. Nirmit Saranam Satam. So those who are purely, pure at heart, and Vedyam Vastam Atra Vastu Shivdam Trapatrayon Moolanam. So this highest truth is this reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all, Shivdam. And what does this do? Tap Traya Unmulanam. So it actually uproots what? What is it uprooting? It's uprooting the threefold miseries. Tap refers to the miseries, and Traya refers to three types of miseries. What are the three kinds of miseries? So again, we have miseries coming from other living entities, we have miseries coming from mind, and we have miseries coming from the devas, the supernatural forces, right? So they have different kind of vyadhis. All these are purified. So these threefold miseries are completely uprooted. And who wrote this Srimad Bhagavatam? The Srimad Bhagavatam was written by Mahamuni Krite. So who's the writer? The great sage Vyasadeva. Now this verse is not written by Srila Vyasadeva because that would become self-glorification. This verse is further written by the reciters of Srimad Bhagavatam. So here, Shukdev Goswami, Sutta Goswami, and other reciters, they glorify having realized the benediction of Bhagavatam, which was revealed in the very first verse. That this beautiful Bhagavatam was compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva. And when did he compile this? In his maturity. Srila Vyasadeva had already written the Vedas. He had already written Mahabharata. He had already done all this work, yet at the same time he was feeling that all these literatures, because why did he write first of all? Because in Dwapar Yuga, hearing once people would remember for their life. But he said with the advent of Kali age, people will have not so much good intelligence, they will not remember. So, yeah. Manda sumanda matyo mand bhagya pradutaha. Right? So, what are the effects of this Kali age? What did he see? What incited Vyasadeva to write Srimad Bhagavatam? So here in the 12th canto, it is revealed the effects of Kali age. Prayena alpayusha sabhya, that in this age, alpayu, people are short-lived. And kala was yogejana, and people are quarrelsome. For just any talk, they will find a reason to quarrel with each other. Manda sumanda matya. Manda refers to lazy. Sumanda matya is not very intelligent. And manda bhagya, and they are unlucky. And here upraduta, and they are constantly disturbed. So that's why he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam at the maturity, because of the inspiration he received from Devashi Narad. So Devashi Narad visited, he said, Srila Vyasadeva, you have written all these Vedas, you have written Mahabharata, so many Puranas. Why are you still feeling so sad at heart? Oh, because you realize that what you have written will actually not satisfy. People would engage in more karma kand activities. In Vedas, it's like a big mall. When you go to the mall, you will see there are a lot of stores. There are electronic stores. People will be hoarding in the electronic stores. There are a lot of clothes stores. They will be going there. But when you see a diamond store, a diamond shop within the mall, very few people will go. Why? Because diamond, very costly. So similarly, Vedas talk about all subject matters. They talk about karma kan, they talk about gyan kan, they talk about upasana kan. 99.999% Vedas are referring to these two, karma kan and gyan kan. Upasana kan is very little. And so that's like the diamond shop in the Vedas. But nobody goes there because the people are looking at just elevating themselves to higher planetary system, thinking that will get 1,000 times more benefit. But here, that will not be in our favor, Hare Krishna. Sometimes the bar keeps coming. So Devashi Nada is helping him reveal that actually he has not glorified devotional service sufficiently in his writings. And it is Srimad Bhagavatam that he should write, which is the Ganthraj. It's the greatest of all Puranas. It's the king of all Puranas, of all the Granthas, of all the scriptures. It is the king. And so that's what incited Vyasadeva, and he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam for our benefit. So who should hear it? We should hear it. Everyone. And then to be able to understand, we have to purify. But does that mean that we have to first purify and then come to Srimad Bhagavatam to hear? No. We should hear Srimad Bhagavatam from the devotees in disciplic succession, and so that automatically our hearts will get purified. And what would happen? That there is no need to hear any other literature. Kim va pareri ishvaraha. So what other literature is needed to understand, to get God realization? Satyo hridaya vrudyate tat shiribhi shuchurshabhish takshanat. So here, when we attentively and submissively hear Srimad Bhagavatam, because of the knowledge, the culture of knowledge, that we receive, Lord, He will be immediately established within our heart, the Supreme Lord. So this is the important aspect. So it's also identifying who should be hearing. Now, next verse glorifies another aspect of Srimad Bhagavatam. Somebody could say, okay, so this is something that I will hear, but why? What is this? Can you tell me something about this literature? What kind of literature is this? So in this regard, the third verse is written, Nigamukalpataror galitam phalam shakamukhad amritadrava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasam alayam muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhavkaha. Nigamukalpataro. So all that Vedic knowledge appearing as the desire tree, right? So what is the fruit of this desire tree of this Vedic knowledge? It has, its fruit is this Bhagavatam, right? So there is a reference given with respect to mango. So just like in a mango tree, you have a mango. But then mango may be ripe, but how do we know it's delicious? It's tasty. Shukamukad amrita dravya samyutam. So dravya samyutam. So here, when a parrot has taken a bite, so again, touched by the beaks of a parrot, when we see a mango being touched by the beaks of a parrot, then we see the beak marks. We know that this mango is very sweet. So this mango has been made very sweet. So pivata Bhagavatam rasam alayam. So we should relish this Bhagavatam. Now, Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said that this is Amal Puran. Amal Puran means there is no fault in it. So we have to understand, when we look at a mango, there is some fault in mango, right? First of all, you cannot eat its outer covering, so you have to peel it and throw it away. Then second of all, inside there is the seed, big seed. So you can't even eat the seed, so you have to throw it away too. But this is Amal Puran because this mango doesn't have the outer covering, it doesn't have the seed also, it is complete drava, it is complete nectar. Yeah, it's complete nectar, the whole drava. So the whole pulp, that's only thing. And so Pivat Bhagavatam Rasam Alayam. So it has become so tasty that its nectarian juice is relishable by all. Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha, including the liberated souls. So it is mainly for the Rasikas, those who enjoy the higher rasas, not the lower rasas of the material world, but the higher rasas of Lord's glorification. So here, the glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam as the mature fruit of the desire tree being spoken by Shukdev Goswami has become so sweet to hear that it is relishable by all. And when we see something so relishable, what do? Even if we are away from that place, we remember that instance when we heard. So we keep remembering it again and again. And mind is so strong, just by remembering, we can almost, taste it. Because we remember what it tasted like then. So we can taste it. We say, oh, so sweet is this fruit. So here, today, my dear devotees, we have been looking at these three verses from the perspective that the first is the invocation of auspiciousness, where Lord's glorification is identified early on itself. And it makes us humble by realizing that even the great sages and demigods are bewildered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His energies. Second is where we are hearing getting the blessing that this is such a wonderful scripture, which is completely revealing the supreme truth, so much so that by the culture of this knowledge, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is established within the heart. And not just that, every verse is so nectarian, completely immersed in the nectar of devotional service, propounding the glories of devotional service, that it is Amala Puran. So this is where we want to end today's session. If there is any question, please feel free to ask. Devi?
Hare Krishna. All right, so that was nice. These three verses, we heard about the subject, the glories, and the goals of Srimad Bhagavatam. It was nice to have better understanding how Srila Vyasdev in his glorification offers obeisances to the Supreme Lord, the Absolute Truth, and then glorifies Srimadbhagavatam as completely pure, free from all activities motivated by material purposes. And the last verse especially, it's nicely explained that Srimad Bhagavatam being emanated from the lips of Shukdev Goswami, it has become even more nectarian. That's very sweet. So, dear devotees, at this time we have just a couple of minutes remaining. If any one of you would like to add any comments, you're welcome to do that. Or if you have a question, please feel free to ask your question. Either you can type in the comment or you can ask. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Very nice class, Prabhuji. Wonderful. One question, Prabhuji.
Yes, please.
You refer about this Bhagwan Shankar is giving Katha to Parvati and parrot was listening it. So if we go to Amarnath, we hear the same story that parrot is there and they hear the story from Bhagwan Shankar, and the pair of pigeon, they say the pigeon, not the parrot, and they are still there. And some of them who are lucky and they get darshan of their pigeon. So is that story and this story are same, or that was Kailash Parvat and this was Amarnath place? They are different.
So Kailash Parvat and Amarnath place, they are different. Yes, the pigeon story is separate. And there's a different meaning behind the the pair of pigeons that are hearing. And this is Rasika Bhavuka. So people who are Rasikas, who enjoy this sweet nectar, they want to hear it again and again and again. So that's the
True.
glorification that's being identified there. Here, the purpose is because Radharani empowered her parrot to glorify Lord Krishna, to set an example for future generation. So she left the parrot so that more living entities can hear about Bhagavatam through Shukdev and through his descent, again, his followers like Sutta Goswami at Naimisharanya and so forth, and Srila Prabhupada, and in disciplic succession that we get this, so that we can return back home, back to Godhead. So they have two different purposes. You actually raised a very important perspective. Sometimes we look at a story and we look at it more of an entertainment, realizing that this is made for our entertainment, while these three verses reveal that it is for our benefit that we should hear Srimad Bhagavatam, because by the culture of this knowledge, it's not general knowledge, it's a nectarian sweetness of bhakti yoga, the devotional service, that will instill us and inspire us to engage in devotional service for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Radha Krishna. And thus we'll be able to go back home, back to Godhead. Pigeon hearing the story, the pair of pigeon hearing the story from Shankar, has a different perspective. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thanks, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Is there anyone else who has any question or any comments, any reflections? Thank you, dear devotees. At this time, we will conclude this Srimad Bhagavatam narration. And we are really appreciative, those of you who could take out some time and join in this Krishna Katha. Granthra.
Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Anand Vishnu ki jai. Nitai Go Premanande.
Haribol.
Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Have
Krishna.
a today in Krishna consciousness.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.